Today on the 01581, an update from the Veterans Advisory Board, the American Legion, and also Westborough Connects, talking about the upcoming week of Westborough Unplugs. It's a busy show and you'll want to tune in. Thanks. Hi, I'm Shelby Marshall. I'm the host of the 01581 Let's Talk. I'm joined by today's first guest, Del Richmond. Del is a veteran, served in the Army, and is involved not only with the Veterans Advisory Board, but the American Legion, and I'm thrilled to have him here as my guest.
Thanks. Great to be here, Shelby.
Yeah, so you live here in Westborough. Tell me a little bit about yourself. How long you've been here, and how do you find yourself involved in not one, but two organizations?
We moved here in 1993, so I've been here since then, obviously. I have two daughters who've gone through the Westborough school system, and very happy with the outcomes there. Yeah. For a number of years, I worked for Data General, and following that had a few other spots in high tech, also in the general vicinity.
Sure. Good. All right, great. And so your Army experience, fast forward to today, involved in the Veterans Advisory Board, and you're the finance officer for the American Legion.
Yes. Yeah, so actually I was drafted in 1968.
Okay.
Spent...
Thank you for your service. I don't want to say thank you for being drafted, because I can't imagine, but thank you. That was trying times.
Well, I was certainly not alone.
Yeah, I know.
And a lot of the people I served with in Vietnam were drafted. And it was kind of an interesting experience, because you meet a huge range of people in that scenario, from college graduates to literally people who signed their name with an X. So that experience actually was what got me into Veterans Affairs. After I got out of college, I went to work for the University of New Hampshire in Manchester, and I ran an outreach program for Vietnam-era veterans for 4 years.
Okay.
And was fortunate enough to be able to help about 3,000 people continue their educations.
Sure, sure.
That lasted for 4 years until Congress stopped funding the grant.
Okay.
So that was kind of my start in Veterans Affairs. Nothing for quite a while, and then after I retired from industry, I decided that I really needed to do a little more than watch the news and yell at my television. So I started, looking for a way, and to quote Tobey Maguire in Cider House Rules, I just wanted to be of use.
Excellent, excellent. Well, so, I don't want to assume that our viewers understand what the Veterans Advisory Board, what they do, as well as the American Legion. So a little bit about kind of some of the key points of the mission, as well as activities, and certainly want to talk about the challenges of that work. So how about the kind of, what do they do?
Right. In a global sense, the mission of both organizations is to help veterans. And that ranges from some largely ceremonial things, like Memorial Day, Veterans Day, placing flags at cemeteries and rotaries and those kinds of things, to more personal level things like trying to identify and help people who are homeless or who may be contemplating suicide. And obviously that is a national problem with veterans today. The biggest issue with that end of the mission is trying to find the people who really need help.
Sure.
And I learned this a long time ago when I was doing the outreach program, that the people who need the help the most are the hardest to find and the hardest to reach.
So how do we do that here in Westborough?
Well, we routinely reach out to the veterans that we have identified, and there are 500 plus veterans in
Yeah.
Westborough.
Yep.
We don't have contact information for everybody,
Okay.
but we do for a lot of people. And so we regularly send emails and do phone campaigns to check with people.
Sure.
Hey, you okay?
Yep.
You need help?
Yep.
Or do you know anybody who
Yeah.
needs help?
Right. Well, and that's a very personal outreach, right? I mean, it's one self-identifying, but even as maybe a friend or a neighbor or just an acquaintance, sort of sharing that information. I mean, it's kind of like, not everyone's comfortable in doing it, and people want to protect privacy, but yet you want to be able to help. So it's a
Right.
delicate balance.
And some people are just too proud
Sure.
to take help,
Yeah,
even
yeah.
if they really need it.
Sure.
So-
So what are some of the ways in which you do help? I mean, I know I've been to enough presentations by the veterans up at the senior center at the annual luncheon that there's support in connecting them with the veterans health services or benefits. I mean, there's that element, but a little more grassroots. What are some of the other initiatives that you take on?
Well, there are really kind of three legs of this stool, right? You got the advisory board, the Legion, and the local veteran service officer,
Okay.
Jeff Farrell.
Yep.
And Jeff serves Westborough, Northborough, and Shrewsbury. So between the three organizations, we might identify somebody who has a legitimate claim for disability.
Okay.
And that person would get routed to Jeff, and he and his aide, Andrea, I think her name is, I'm probably getting that wrong, will help facilitate the application process.
Okay.
Because it is the VA.
Yeah.
It's
It's
not so
simple paperwork.
straightforward.
Right. Absolutely. Yep.
So that's one of the key ways
Sure.
is helping that process. We also would refer people to appropriate local service organizations.
Sure.
The food pantry.
I was just going to, yep.
And we actually just made a $500 donation to the food pantry recently, which is one of the other sort of things that we do is kind of community oriented. So not necessarily exclusively for veterans,
Sure.
but we know our people are going to be part of that,
Sure.
right?
And I know that the veterans, when my daughter was at Mill Pond, there was a collaborative effort with the veterans to do, I think, food drives. It might have been food or clothing drives.
Yeah, we did.
as well.
We did a clothing drive about 6 months ago, and all of the input, all of the material that comes into that goes to an organization called Veterans Inc.,
Yep.
which is in Worcester, and they serve a population that is significantly in need.
Sure.
So we know all of that is being put to good use.
Sure. What can Westborough as a community, whether you're kind of answering this from a town government or from a resident individual, how can we do a better job of, and I think we do a great job of supporting our veterans, but how can we do a better job of kind of being kind of more inclusive and helping our veterans?
That's a very good question.
It wasn't meant to be a
I don't
hardball
know.
one.
Well,
I mean,
it's-
simply, I would say, I would love to see more people at some of our recognition events, so
Right.
Memorial Day and Veterans Day, right?
Right.
I think we get great participation. I know this coming Saturday, as we're taping this is actually tomorrow, where many of us are placing flags on the veterans' graves, and there's usually
Right.
a great turnout from
Right.
scouts and
Yep.
and all.
Right, and we get a lot of help in those kind of projects from Westborough High School.
Yeah.
So as long as you've opened that door about events,
Yeah.
there are some things that are upcoming.
Great.
You mentioned flag placements, and that'll be tomorrow.
Yeah.
We're placing flags at multiple cemeteries. And then on May 18th, we will be doing the same thing at the Rotary in
Okay.
preparation for Memorial Day.
Okay.
There will also be the annual Memorial Day Parade, which will be on May 27th, which
Yep.
is the actual Memorial Day. The ceremonies start at 9 o'clock, And we will be doing events at St. Luke's, Midlands, and Pine Grove. And then the cemetery, parade itself rather, will wind its way through town and end up at the Forbes building. And there will be an extended ceremony at the Forbes building with presentation by our Grand Marshal, who is a woman this year, a Navy veteran. And we're very glad to have her participating. And following the events at the Forbes building, we are hosting a luncheon at the KFC.
Okay.
And everyone who attends the Forbes ceremony is invited to join us for lunch.
Excellent. Excellent. Great.
So
Okay.
we're looking forward to having a number of townspeople
Great.
hopefully join us for that.
Yeah, it's a beautiful event. I think, and it's a nice way to wrap up what, for many, is really kind of a "ooh, summer's here," and I'm getting
Right.
that feel. And maybe I escaped out of Westborough for to go to my Cape house or whatever. But you got to come back anyway because you got to work on Tuesday. It's a beautiful way to end the weekend and to recognize
Right.
our veterans.
Right, and we are differentiating in a way Memorial Day from Veterans Day, where Memorial Day is more of a celebration of veterans, and Veterans Day is more of a commemorative
Yep.
kind of event.
Sure. Sure.
Following that, on June 8th,
Okay.
we will be doing a poppy drive,
Okay.
which we do a couple times a year. And the poppy drive was actually originated to commemorate World War I and the Flanders Field story where all of the soldiers are buried. So we will be giving out poppies.
Okay.
And
Do you know the locations of where sometimes it's at Roach Brothers?
yeah,
or?
we will be doing Roche Brothers, Stop and Shop. There are a couple others that are still TBD.
Okay.
But Lowe's is also a third location.
Oh, yeah, they're great veterans.
And yes,
Yeah.
and so we will have tables
Great.
at each one of those.
Okay.
And I have to say, having done this for the past couple of years, people in Westborough are tremendously generous.
Well, that's good.
Yeah.
That's great. That's great.
So
Great. Okay.
following that,
Yep.
on June 15th, there will be a flag burning ceremony at Veterans Freedom Park.
Okay.
Last year, we included Framingham in
Yep.
that ceremony.
Yep.
And actually, there were several thousand used flags.
Really?
that
Wow.
were
Wow. I wasn't able
disposed
to
of.
attend last year, and I still had my flags. So I've written down the date. Okay.
Right.
Great.
And lastly, later this summer, on July 25th, the Wall That Heals, which is a replica of the
okay.
Vietnam Veterans Memorial in Washington, will be at Fort Devens.
Oh, okay.
So we are putting together a trip for local veterans
Oh, wonderful.
to go up to Fort Devens on July 25th. And there's an organization called Clear Path that will be sponsoring a lunch for the people that we bring up.
Excellent.
So I'm looking forward to people. If you want to find out more information about that or any of these other events, you can find information on the Veterans Advisory Board Facebook page. So
You can also call the Veterans Office here in Westborough, right? They
Yes.
would have information, or
Yes.
reach out to the American Legion, and they can connect to you, right?
Yep, or the
Excellent.
Veterans Advisory Board,
Yep,
or
exactly.
Jeff Farrell in the Veterans
Right.
Service Office.
Excellent.
So,
So the other thing I would say is that the Veterans Advisory Board also has launched, I think we're now 2 years into it, with the Hometown Hero banners,
yes.
right? And
Yep.
so that's always something that folks might want to be aware of, and as a way to recognize, a loved one, someone who has served. And if you have questions about that, that's another a great way that the VAB kind of raises funds for that work. So,
Right.
Great.
And you can even find my picture on one of those posters.
right. We should do like a scavenger hunt of that or something.
Although since I was 20 when that was taken, I look a little different.
Del, thank you so much for being my guest. Thank you to all that you and other veterans do to help veterans. Westborough is I feel like is a great place to be a veteran, and I look forward to continuing to support, in however we can. So.
Well, thank you very much for
and
having me,
I'll see you at
Shelby.
Memorial Day.
And I appreciate what you and all your fellow selectmen do
You're welcome.
to support us.
You
Thank you.
bet. All right, awesome. We'll be right back with Westborough Connects and an update on the week coming called Westborough Unplugs. Hi, and welcome back to the 01581 Let's Talk. I'm joined by two of my favorite guests. Of course, all my guests are my favorite, but no, I really love these two. Laura Cerniglia and Kelley Petralia. And they are here to talk to us and share with you some information about Westborough Unplugs. And I'm not going to steal their thunder. I'm just going to turn to my right and say, ladies, welcome.
Thank you.
So
Thank
good.
you so much for having us.
Yeah, so excited. Okay, so what is Westborough Unplugs? We'll get to the why after, but this is an exciting week of events coming up, and Laura, take it away.
All right. It is a really exciting event. I think one of the things that gets me excited about is it means spring and maybe good weather, and there are so many events to enjoy outside. But Westborough Unplugs is one of Westborough Connect's main initiatives. This is our 5th celebration of it. So it's really exciting that we've been doing it for 5 years. All could not be done without all of our partners in the community who agreed to jump on board with us and to put on some really great things for the community.
And I think, I gave credit to Westborough Connects, but this absolutely could not happen without all of the partners, without all of the volunteers within those partners, and even just volunteers that support all of it. So
and our sponsors.
Yes, and our sponsors, of course.
Yeah, so it will run from Sunday, May 5th to Saturday, May 11th this year. We always try to coincide it with National Screen Free Week, so that is why those dates. And it is a week filled with, and I'm looking down because there is so much to remember, but it is filled with over 16 events during that week, 9 of which are new.
Awesome.
And it like we alluded to, it is run by basically 30 partners, sponsors, donors involved in the
Lots
initiative.
of moving parts.
There are a lot of moving parts. There are events for really all ages, really from preschoolers to senior citizens. A lot of intergenerational events, so events that we would love to see the entire community come out and enjoy in their own way. And it is filled with a variety of things, from really active things to if you're a person who loves to put together puzzles, there's a challenge at the libraries. There's a reading event. So really, I feel like it hits on a lot of different interests and activity levels.
And I know we'll have the visual up of the events, but Laura, pick a couple of your favorites.
What are you going to do that to me? And it's like a favorite child.
I know it's not fair, but I'm going to.
Not fair.
No, but what are you excited about? Maybe a new event or some returning.
Sure. So one of our new events, it is called Ice Cream Wednesday, and it is put on by Scoop On Real Estate. It's being hosted, and it is going to take place at Yeoman's. And really, why I'm choosing this event is because it's all about being intentional with your time, and to basically schedule in your week a time where you are just going to connect with those who are important to you. Sure, do it over ice cream. Why not? I'm not going to argue with that. But that's what I love so much about that initiative. And if you come down to Yeoman's on that Wednesday, you'll learn about the person who created that. Will be there to explain and to continue to do it. It's all about, I feel like a lot of these events, these are good inspirational starting points, but we also hope that they sustain past that week.
Sure. Well, and perhaps someone does something maybe that they haven't done in a while. Like I think one of the first events on the 5th is a bike ride, right? So just a couple days ago, I was like getting in my garage and it was like, I got to pump up the tires just in general. And I was like, oh, wait, I haven't ridden this thing in a while. And then I saw the flyer. I was reminded, I was like, I'm going to do the bike ride.
That's awesome.
I want to do that, right? And it's, so I don't know, that's kind of what I'm excited about, just kind of doing some things that, in the intentional aspect of it as well. I know that we always do Booking It to Bay State, right?
Yes, so that will be happening again, and we have a lot of partners who will be there with us that night. Hugo House Books, Tatnick Booksellers, the Senior Center. Westborough Public Library will be there. We have the Armstrong librarian comes and does a story time, and it's really a drop everything and read event, which a lot of us are familiar with from our school days, where you just drop everything and pick up a book, and that's what it is.
Yeah.
Bring a favorite, bring a book, bring your picnic dinner, and just come and read in community. And that night, we're also holding a fundraiser for Westborough Connect. I will mention.
No, I was going to put the plug in for that.
For Panera Bread is allowing us to get some of the sales from that night from 4 to 8 p.m. So go pick up your dinner and then bring it over to Bay State and enjoy, being in the community.
Yeah, and I will put a plug in. I mean, these programs, all the programs that Westborough Connect does are for free, but it takes money to run them. It takes money to staff them, and get just have things, print things, and post things, all of that. So. We really, as a board member of Westborough Connect, full disclosure, I would ask that you, say, hey, you know what? I'm going to support Westborough Connect just by going and grabbing some food from, what did you say, 4 to 8?
From 4 to 8,
Yeah. On what day? I'm sorry.
That is on May 9th, so it is on the Thursday of that week.
Great.
Just need to bring the flyer, which we have digital links to that and everything, and paper copies available. So
Excellent.
And we're also excited to be hosting a Connect Over Coffee that week as well, which is one of the things that Westborough Connect does, which is just a great way to learn a little bit about the organization. It's really casual.
Yeah.
Walk
It's not
in,
like
walk out, stay as long as you want, but it's a great opportunity for all of our volunteers to see each other and to learn, for new people to learn more.
Yeah, and for folks that are wondering, this isn't like a volunteer pitch and pressure sale. This is right. No, because I know
Not at
some
all.
people might be like, well, what am I getting myself into?
You can just come have a cup of coffee and a conversation.
And maybe meet a couple new people and reconnect with those that you haven't seen in a while. So there's also a challenge happening.
There is our Disconnect to Reconnect challenge. This will be the third year that we're doing it, but I think last year it started to pick up a little bit more steam. And again, it's about being intentional. We just ask you to let us know 2 screen activities that you give up and what you do instead. So instead of picking up my phone and going on Facebook, I'm going to go on the bike ride.
Okay.
And so we have forms to fill out. You pick 2 ways, and there are a host of really great prizes. And again, which I think will appeal to a wide range of people, from a membership to the Worcester Institute for Senior Education, to a gift card to Landry's Bicycles. So really a range for interests and ages.
the botanical garden at Tower Hill too. There are tickets to that, which is pretty amazing.
Yeah.
Too,
Excellent.
so.
Okay, and I know that folks can find this. There will be flyers around town, and westboroughconnects.org, and we'll have that on the screen if we don't already as we're talking. So this is all great, Laura, and I love it. I hope you feel my enthusiasm. I have to sort of say, because some people might say, well, what are we talking about Unplugged, right? Yeah. And fair point that we have a bunch of QR codes, and yes, we're using technology to connect to unconnect and unplug. But Kelley, I'll turn to you. Why are we unplugging? Why is this important for Connects? Why is it important for Westborough?
Yeah. So, I mean, obviously we need our screens for a lot of things. And like you said, you need them a little bit to access some of the things, some more information about what we're doing that week. But this is really about the time that we don't necessarily need to spend on our phones, and that we really do spend a lot of time, whether it's in a waiting room with our head down, or even walking down the street with our head down, scrolling endlessly at the end of the night, whatever it might be. And this is about really tuning in to the relationships and to the opportunities to do something else, you know, and so tune into connection. Because there's a real opportunity cost with these screens. You know, regardless of whether you spend 3 hours a day or 6 hours a day on your phone, there's still only 24 hours a day. That's
you don't get it back.
You don't get it back. So if you're spending that much time, you know, a lot of time on your screens, which is a society, all ages, you know, I think we are struggling with that. There is that real opportunity cost. So what's missing? And so I think what we've seen from things like, you know, even the Surgeon General's advisories last year on loneliness, on social media and youth mental health, books that have come out, a lot of research. It's having an impact, and it's really starting to become more clear. So we feel it really aligns with our mission in the community, which is to help build a thriving, kind, and connected community where everybody belongs. So we want to make sure we're thriving, and that means in-person relationships and out in nature and stuff too.
Sure.
Do you have
Absolutely.
anything to add on that?
Well, just one of the quotes that struck me last year when we were looking for our resource guide was, "Life is what you pay attention to," and it's like, if you're paying attention to the nonsense and whatever, you're just missing out. So
Sure,
it's just
sure.
about being intentional with the time, because I very guilty of it, and I'll
Yeah.
check that screen like, how many minutes have I been on, and it blows me. I'm like, there's
Right.
no way.
Right.
But it's shocking how much time that we do, especially when your phone
Sure.
warns you about it.
Well, and I got
Yep.
this watch partly to be cool. I don't know if it helped or not, but and to your point, you get those reminders, and I'll see like when my screen time goes down, I'm like, yeah. But I wasn't necessarily intentional about it. And and then when I look at still how much time I spend, I'm like, oh.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I
The
know.
percentage went down, but
Right,
I'm not
it's
sure
still
it's a
too
number
much.
to
Right.
celebrate. And
Yeah. The intentional piece is huge, and you
Yeah.
mentioned this a couple times too. I mean, actually, I'll just use this little prop. We have every year we do a little resource list with some suggested activities and then some resources to help people be more mindful and really consider how they're using their screens and maybe get some good intelligence, some knowledge base around what else they could be doing or what those opportunity costs are when they're swapping out that time. So this year we're really focusing on the concept of third places. And so a third place, for those of you who might not know, is someplace other than your home and work that you go to, like, be in community with other people. It could be people that you know, but often it's not. It could be a coffee shop. It could be a bookstore. It could be
The
a dog
green,
park.
yeah,
It could be
yeah.
Bay State Green.
Right.
So we're really trying to focus on okay, what else? What's that quote is, why now,
Yep.
what for,
And what else.
and what else? So why am I picking up my phone now? What is it for? And what else could I or should I be doing? So,
Ooh.
yeah, that's not our quote.
No,
That's
that's Catherine Price.
No,
Wrote a book
no,
about
but
how to break
that's-
up with your phone, and even
Wow.
suggests putting that as your lock screen. So when you pick it up, you're like, why did I pick it up? What am I doing? And sometimes
And
you
it's
need it, and it's
so-
not that you don't need it,
Yeah.
because you do, but it's like, think about what are you doing, and
Right.
for what reason, and how else can you
Yeah.
satisfy that reason?
So promise me you guys will come back so we can talk just about this, because I feel
Would
like
love it.
we could just have a conversation just about that, because when you said that, it's almost, it is a bit of an addiction, I have to say. Like, you just, what's going on? What's going on?
Well,
What did I
and
miss?
they're
Right.
made to make you addicted. It's not,
Right, right.
like, it's
And
not
it's
a you,
good, some of-
it's like they're trying to
Right,
keep you
right.
on all the apps. They're trying to keep you on as long as
Right.
possible.
And some of it's good use, right? Hey, I need
Absolutely.
information or whatever, but
I
then
mean,
how many
need-
times do you I'd find my way down into this journey of, I was looking for, kitchen redesign, and now I'm reading about elephants in Africa. I have no idea.
Yeah. No, it's so
it's
true. We would love to come back and talk about it. And actually, I'll just say that yesterday I met with, and Laura and I are going to be meeting again with some teens from the high school. We got into a great conversation. They recognize it. And they happen to be seniors. They're getting ready to kind of fly. They're grown and flown, or will be. And they recognize it. And they want to talk about it too.
Awesome.
So
Great.
they need
great.
to be part of the conversation.
Okay, super. Westborough Unplugs, May 5th through the 11th. Information all over town at westboroughconnects.org. Available as well through the many partners and sponsors of the event. Kelly, do you want to add something?
I would love to just give a plug for our sponsors who make this possible.
Sure.
So I'm going to read it so I don't
here.
forget anybody. But we have a lot of sponsors and individual donors. We love that. And specifically for Westborough Unplugs, we'd like to thank the Civic Club, Westborough Civic Club, Reliant Foundation, Central One Federal Credit Union, Grossman Development Group, Central National Gottesman Foundation, Avidia Foundation, and Prototype Training Systems.
There we go. All right. Thank you so much. It really takes a community to unplug. So get out there, enjoy Westborough, and find your third place and be intentional. Thanks so much for joining this episode of the 01581 Let's Talk.